You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. Welcome to the show. The interview subject coming up for your listening pleasure is Chris David. He's the bassist in Majestica, and the catalyst for the conversation with Chris is A Christmas Carol. I love Christmas, and Majestica have done a Christmas album in their own inimitable style. We talk about a bunch of other things. In fact, I talked for so long that I spoke right up until Chris was due to participate in another interview. So you'll hear that right at the end, if you're wondering why the conversation just ends abruptly. Here he is, Chris David from Majestica.
Good evening.
Hello, mate. How's things going?
Oh, it's going good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm surviving. We've just had a tropical monsoon come through where I am, so it's still. If the call cuts in and out, you'll know why. It's because of that. We this time of year, mate, for us in Queensland, it tends to be pretty hairy with these sorts of tropical storms that tend to sort of knock out power and do a lot of damage and stuff, mate. But for right now, we're doing good.
Oh, okay, really? Yeah. Well, here it's been the same weather for 3 months now. Exactly the same every day, I think.
What's that? What country are you from again, mate? Sorry, I should know this. Sweden, isn't it?
Sweden. Yeah, it's Sweden.
Sweden. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so that means
it's just grey and raining all along.
Yeah, grey and raining. Yeah. Look, my forebears, given my surname, are clearly from Ireland and Scotland, and you guys being from Sweden, you can kind of understand why so many of your forebears or, extended relatives, let's call them that 100, 200 years ago or so, left those parts of the world and moved to sunnier climates like in the United States and in Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
But you guys stayed and you stuck it out, and I'm glad you did, because I've long said this, and I'm going to share this with you. I think Sweden per head per capita is responsible for the greatest hard rock and heavy metal music in the world. There's just so many great bands, and I'm writing a book at the moment, and it's, you literally can't throw a stick into a crowd of Swedish people without hitting a world-class musician.
I guess, yeah, that's about right. I guess I think Finland is doing very well with the metal music as well.
Finland as well, but they just don't have the same rep that Sweden has. Of course, Norway's got their black metal scene with Satyricon, Mayhem, and so many other bands, Immortal. But with Sweden, all the way from Opeth to you guys, to At the Gates, to In Flames, to Avatarium, and all of these bands that I've just mentioned are still going and releasing incredibly strong music, as are you guys. So whatever's been going on up there for God knows how long, please do keep it going, because heavy metal fans rely on Swedish people to continue to deliver the goods.
Well, that's some nice words. Thanks. Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I think Sweden is doing pretty well in music in general. It's not just metal. We are pretty good at, delivering all styles of music with all super big artists we have.
Yeah, I think Tiesto, was Swedish, wasn't he? And ABBA, of course, were huge in Australia. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that Australia was the first territory for ABBA outside of Sweden. So we tend to adopt a lot of Swedish acts.
Oh, yeah, it might be right. And we also have, Avicii was from Sweden.
Avicii, that's the one. Sorry, Tiesto, not Tiesto, but Avicii. Yeah, I know a lot of house music comes from up that way. It's just something with you guys and music. I wonder how many great composers, like the Mozarts and the Bachs of the world, weren't discovered or applying their trade in Stockholm back in the 1500s and the 1600s. That could have been discovered if Sweden had a bit more of a bit more attention, like what Germany, France, and Austria had.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would have been as many as them. I don't know. Would be fun to know.
Highly likely. Yeah, highly likely. And talking about classical music, I think you guys have done a great job here with the Christmas Carol. And I love the fact that you've honoured this magical time of the year, because I think Christmas is still so special to so many of us. Because, look, we're living in an era where so much of our shared Judeo-Christian and European traditions, they're coming under attack by these psychopaths in the media. You know, they're intent on reinventing history and demonising what so many of us hold here, which is basically all European history. And I just love the fact that you guys have done this. You're spreading the word. You're actually spreading the cheer. You know, the videos are great. The songs are on point. Your song selection is fantastic, by the way. But apart from it just being about Christmas and what you guys are doing here with Christmas, was there a specific catalyst for you guys that made you guys decide to do the Christmas tribute?
Yeah. Well, I guess there was, you know, because the story actually started. Well, the story of how we figured this out started last Christmas when we created a 1-minute cover of "All I Want for Christmas Is You" for fun. Put it on Facebook, and it was just like, you know, just for fun, to make something special around Christmas. And then everyone seemed to like it so much, and everyone wrote to us, "So you need to make a Christmas album. You need to do this and this and this," you know. But we thought like maybe sometime in the future. And then, you know, 2020 started with lots of shows. We were in Japan with Majestica. I played with another band doing an opening tour for Dragon Force with a band called Athanasia, and Tommy was out with Sabaton and all that stuff. And then when it all died, we came to think about this, like, what should we do now? Should we start working on the follow-up to our debut album, Above the Sky, or what should we do? And then this whole idea came around with the recognizable Christmas melodies in our own music. And then we thought, like, you know, this is the right time, because this year is a tough one for everyone. You know, maybe people will celebrate Christmas by themselves. It's the right time to make something out of your box, really, you know, that you can really do whatever you want with. And so it was basically the whole COVID situation that started this idea that we, you know, this is the right year to make something like this happen, because, and also a lot of other bands are playing or recording new music this year, but they are doing their follow-up records. So we were like, this is going to be a standout record, because no one is going to do the same thing that we are doing, really. And especially then with Christmas, because Christmas is, yeah, as you say, it's a family tradition in many parts of the world, and you're usually celebrating it with all your family and friends and all that stuff, but you probably can't this year. So I think it was a very important decision to make an album like this exactly this year.
Yeah, good choice too. The songs, I mean, because it's not a covers album in the traditional sense, because you have made each song your own. So 2 questions for you. So how did you choose which songs that you wanted to cover? Because you haven't gone the usual route of "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," or even an alternative route with something like the Pogues, "A Fairy Tale of New York." You picked songs that I think are well known, but they're not the most well known songs, if you know what I'm saying. So how did you pick each song? And then also, how did you go about constructing them and putting them together in this wonderful Majestica style?
Yes, I don't know really how it all came about. It went so quick, this whole thing, because, you know, we had such a short amount of time to finish the album at all, because the whole idea started in May. But I think the first thing that happened was just that we had this idea that we should make it one song, basically, a Christmas song with, you know, Majestica style power metal with the recognizable melodies, and then we kind of looked up basically what is kind of public domain melodies that we can you know, rewrite the lyrics for and rewrite the structure, maybe, you know, make something that is in major go to minor instead and all that stuff. So we kind of looked over what is available out there that is public domain, really. And you probably don't even know this, but some of the stuff on the album is also just in Sweden. It's old traditional Swedish melodies. So there's even more than just the regular English ones that you might recognize in there. So when we figured out what we had, we kind of, to start with, at least we had a few ones. We started writing the music, and because Tommy is the main songwriter, so he's like sending demos back and forth, and we other guys, we add ideas, or maybe send, you know, another melody that, like, this is going to work better here, or you should rewrite this in this way, and stuff like that. So he kind of started working, and I think I had I think I wrote a little melody on a guitar that I thought like, hey, this sounds like Christmas. What do you think? Like, so I sent it from the phone, basically, just recording it with a video on an acoustic guitar. And like, hey, this sounds like Christmas to me. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, it really does feel like a Christmas theme, which is actually the melody of A Christmas Has Come on the album. And then when that happened, he was like, yeah, this melody works pretty cool with this Christmas melody that we have. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So he put it together, and then it just went from there, basically. We made a riff, and then something that suited the riff, we put it there, or maybe we played it in a certain key that we could actually put another melody on top of the guitars. We are singing in a certain carol on top of that, so we put them in a certain key that would work together with the melody and stuff like that.
You've done a great job. All of you have done a magnificent job. So was this something that the band as a collective could organise amongst yourselves and then literally just go into a studio and press record? Or did you need to bring in like a George Martin type and the Beatles, where you had some ideas but you weren't quite sure how to put them all together, so you had to bring in someone like maybe a John Paul Jones type, someone who truly understands how to marry rock music and metal with the classical elements?
No, it's all done by ourselves. We even recorded it by ourselves. I built the studio we recorded it in. Just because there was so much time pressure on the whole thing. We had so what happened is that I rented a big house out in the middle of nowhere that I knew we could stay for at least 10 days, all of us, and be there to just record. And I'm working as well as a sound engineer sometimes, so I had all the gear and I could rent all the gear that was needed to build a studio in this house. So I set up a studio there. The other guys came there, and we had the demos basically ready when we went in, and we just started recording. And then some ideas, of course, evolved in the studio. But most of the stuff was already done. But the whole situation that happened here is that when we decided to do this was actually in the beginning of August. That was when the final decision was taken that we are planning to do it together with YouTube.
Yeah.
And that they told us, you guys have 3 weeks to finish it up. And we were like, okay, they're still missing a couple of songs, so we don't even have all the songs written. And we also need to mix this album. So we said we need 4 weeks. So we have 1 week for mixing as well. And then I rented the house, and Tommy started writing the last pieces of the music, and I figured out the whole recording session so I could record the drums and do all that stuff. So we kind of had to collaboratively make everything work in a short amount as possible of time that we could do it. So no one was in there. No one said anything. It was just the band. There's no one else. There's no producers. There's nothing really. It's just one guy helping us out with the mixing.
Yeah, well, that's an amazing accomplishment. And congratulations on that, Chris, because that's, mate, what I am hearing, it sounds like as though it's been done by a team of expert producers and arrangers and composers to help you guys do it. So, like you're saying, mate, with all of the expertise necessary to put together something like what you've done on the Christmas Carol within the band, mate, for you guys, the sky is the limit then. And doing it so quickly within August, I feel like, I know you guys have been around since 2007 or 8, and you used to be called Rainseed or what have you, but, mate, with that work ethic and with the ability to do something like what you've got here so quickly, I reckon the sky's the limit for you guys after this.
Yeah, probably. Well, the only thing we know that the next time we're gonna have some more days in the studio than just 10 days, because it was intense.
What did you do at the end of it? Did you just throw a little party amongst yourselves, where you all bought in bottles of champagne and Jack Daniels and got pretty drunk and went, well, we did it, lads?
No, actually not, because it was so much that had to happen during this week, because we didn't have an artwork, we didn't have band foil, we didn't have anything, and it all had to be done and delivered to Nuclear Blast after 4 weeks. So what happened really is that when the last couple of days came, the other guys went away. It was just me and Tommy still at the studio, because we had to finish up and put all the tracks together and make it all right for the guy who was mixing. So we had to organize the songs, the projects, because it's been so intense, and we had to work on different computers basically at the same time to fix it all together. So we put it all together, and then I think we had 2 minutes or something like that to when he was supposed to start mixing, and that's when he got the files. And then I had another 30 minutes until I had to be at work. So I just went to work, and that's about it. We had to go straight to another work from when we were off the studio, and we didn't actually sleep at all the last night to be able to make it happen. So I didn't sleep, for 2 days to finish the album after the studio session was done. And then I went to work, and then I had to work out the booklet, because I did design the booklet of the album as well when we had the artwork. So I had to figure out to make a booklet in the week at the same time as the guy who did the mixing was working with that. And after that, we don't live close to each other, so we couldn't get together until when we were doing the videos. And actually, when we were releasing the record last week, that's when we had a champagne. We had a party on Thursday night at 12 o'clock when it was available on Spotify. That's when we opened the champagne bottle.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah, I hope you did have a bit of a celebration. I think it is. I've made this point a few times on my podcast, Chris, but I think it's very important that bands are doing what you guys are doing for some of the reasons that I mentioned up top. Because we do have a tradition in the Western world, and this is one of them. Christmas is a big one of them. And for you guys, it's even more significant now. I thought it was a great album when I listened to it, and I've listened to it a couple of times, in the car especially. It sounds great through speakers in the car, because I think you've mixed it very well, by the way, so there's another compliment. But just under that kind of pressure and then delivering it, because a lot of people just wouldn't bother. A lot of bands would say, fuck it, I couldn't be bothered doing this. There's no point. It sounds like it's too hard. So have you guys got another album of originals material ready to go, so to speak? So not so much in the can, but songs that are written or sketches for songs. And can fans, given your tremendous work ethic, can fans look forward to an originals album sometime within the next sort of 6 to 12 months?
No, probably not. Well, we had a lot of demos actually for the follow-up to Above the Sky when this album came about. We actually had, I think, 8 demos already. So of course we have material for another one, but it's not going to happen so soon.
It's like a rest. Yeah,
that's
like
right.
A rest. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Above the Sky.
Yeah, because we're also. Yeah, we're also running the as an advent calendar with movies, like a short video every day for like 1 minute, like a small musical video that's like playing the actual story as a musical with lots of actors. We are also acting, but we have 25 other actors with us as well. This is running all the way to Christmas, so I'm still basically working every day to finish up all the videos, because they're not even done, because it's been so much time pressure and everything that we are still not even done with the whole campaign yet. So there's still a lot of work to be done. So I think we're going to have a little break, and then we're going to figure out what happends after this album, because this album has been getting so much attention and so much great reviews and all that stuff that we don't know if we want to, continue working on some concept thing again in maybe not next year, but, in 2 years or something. So
we'll see what happens. I'd love to see you guys do an Easter one. Of course, not this coming Easter, because it's only 5 months away, but for next round, mate, I'd love to see you guys tackle that.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it past you. You've clearly got the firepower to be able to do something like that. And are you still? Let me ask you this: last time we had a conversation, that was prior to the release of Above the Sky, and you gave me this cool story that actually got a bit of a pop. Actually, I've noticed a lot of people read my article on your Lackland. You swapped a Music Man bass out for your Lackland. So here's the question: are you still using the Lackland?
Yeah, it's the same bass on this album as well. I think I've almost recorded all the albums I've ever recorded on that bass, actually, on my Blue Lakeland. But I have another one that is black these days as well. I think I had one the last time around as well. But is this the Blue Lakeland that it's been using again? Yes. Okay. And I think it's been there is one song on the album where because I have this the hip shot detuner that I'm retuning the bass from E to drop.
Sure,
D,
I've got one too. I know them. I rely on mine. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, but I think there's one song on this album where I changed the tuning like 5 times.
Well, it's got to be done, I suppose, given the vast scope that you're trying to do here. So Yeah, that's great. So have you? I know you're doing a lot of the videos because I've seen the ones that you put up. Of course, I subscribe to you guys and to Nuclear Blast as well. So you're doing them from the sounds of things. So are you using Premiere Pro and the Adobe software to put it all together?
No, I'm mostly using Final Cut Pro actually.
Yeah, that'd be the other.
Because me and Tommy is running, and Tommy, he's a PC guy, so he's using, I think he's using Premiere Pro or Vegas, Sony Vegas. Is that? Yeah, Sony Vegas. Maybe he's using.
I'm not
as well,
sure.
He's doing some videos as well.
Yeah, I know. I use Premiere Pro a lot. I've just finished uni. I just got my journalism qualifications, so I had to do a lot of stuff on Premiere Pro, and I still use it. And I find that it's incredibly user-friendly, provided you've got enough RAM. I had to upgrade my RAM on my Mac to like 80 gig or what have you, just to handle everything. You know what I mean? Otherwise, if you're trying to run multiple programs, Adobe programs, it just grinds to a halt if you've got anything less than about 20. So that was my only limitation with it all. But I do, rugby union. I do a lot of videos for rugby and
okay,
rugby.
Cool.
Yeah, I do a lot of sport, that sort of thing. If ever I was going to get into typical media, it would definitely be sport. I wouldn't cover news because it's all bullshit these days. But sport, I love doing a lot of videos for that. But of course, we haven't been able to do a lot of that lately because there hasn't been a lot of competition around due to COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I do actually have Premiere Pro as well. I actually pay for it, and my plan for this video is because I like Premiere. I've used After Effects a lot before, so I wanted to use Premiere Pro on this album, but or for the videos now. But the thing was that I've been using Final Cut for a few years, and with the time being so short, I had to work with something that I really knew because I started working in Premiere Pro, and I was like, where the fuck is this button? Why can't I find this stuff? How do I work with this program at the moment? Oh no, I don't have time for this. I need to go with something I know really good at the moment. So I had to go back to Final Cut. But my plan is to start using Premiere Pro again because I really like it when you can work with Premiere Pro together with After Effects, and you can create all these crazy effects really easy between those programs.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to stick with it. To your point there, yeah. It took me a couple of months to. I'd never used a program like this before, I must confess, outside of YouTube's native one or the thing on the phone, which doesn't count, or the iMovie, which is just entry level. Like kids use that. But Premiere Pro, once you discover all of the plugins and, as I say, you got enough RAM to be able to handle everything that you want to do, the sky's the limit. The amount of just weird, unusual shit that you can do is actually mind blowing. It just doesn't seem like it's got, like it seemed to me, Premiere Pro, and I haven't used a lot of Final Cut, but I'm sure it's the same. But I'll say both of them. As much time as you've got to devote, it's still heaps to learn. So you can always keep refining your videos, which is a problem in one respect, because you look back on videos that you did, say, 8 months ago, and you think, oh my God, they're amateur compared to the stuff I'm now doing. Do you find that? I mean, your videos are of great quality, but do you find when you look back on some of the videos that you did earlier in your career and go, oh God, I wouldn't do it like that now?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think sometimes even when I work on a video, and it maybe because like a music video, when it can take a few days to make one to actually do the editing. So maybe if you're working for a whole week, like I did with a Joy of Christmas, when I came to the end of the video, I started working on a completely other way. So I had to redo the first part of the video because I was like, this is much better than the part. So it can even happen in a video that you figure out something new stuff, and that's what's so insane with all these editing software, and also with Photoshop and all that stuff. That you can learn and learn and learn, and you still not even know 50% of the actual program. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm an author these days, so I'm writing books, and I find that even happens. It's a different topic, if you like, meaning writing, than it is, say, approaching things with a tech where you need some technical now, such as Adobe and the other programs. But I find that I'll write 1,000 words or longer, say it might be 5,000 or 6,000 words. By the end of it, I'll have captured the voice that I was attempting at the beginning, but I'll have finally got it about halfway through, and I almost have to go back and rewrite the first half. So I think it's a problem that us creative types have.
I guess so, because you're more creative during the whole process, like the whole creating process. You're creative, so everything evolves during the actual process as well. I guess that's how you make it as good as possible.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, mate. Look, I better make this my last question because no doubt you got another call coming through on the sec. But it's probably too early to discuss live performances and the like. But is there anything even on the far horizon for you guys in terms of touring and performing?
Yeah, we have some of the rescheduled dates from this year because we had some of the big summer festivals that was supposed to be this year, and they all got rescheduled to next year. So those are on the horizon, of course, but that's, I guess, the same for everyone. No one knows if those going to happen, and at the moment, I think it doesn't look too good for the summer festivals, but that at least some of countries are available to run them. Then I don't know, like in the fall and winter time next year, I can say we have a lot of questions about touring, but it's so hard to figure out if it's going to be possible and how we are going to put it all together with all other rescheduled dates around, and as we are also playing with other bands that also have rescheduled tours, and the rescheduled tours get rescheduled. It's just such a mess. So it's really hard to know what's going to happen after the fall with anything. And even if there's tours booked, are they going to be able to run if they are bigger than these shows, or can we run smaller shows? It's so hard to know. So I would just say that the fall and forward is just a mess at the moment. But there's also questions for Majestica to play live and tour. So hopefully we can at least do something.
There'd be massive demand for you guys. Yeah, and I noticed most of the tours that I'm seeing come into my inbox because, of course, I get access to previews of tours that are about to be launched, not yet available to the public. But I can share this with you, mate. That most of the stuff that I'm getting tells me that bands are coming to Australia from November next year onwards. That's how far out they are. So they're actually booking tours by then in the hope that a vaccine's available and that borders will be open and that bands can tour, because I think we're COVID-free in Australia at the moment. I'm pretty sure we are. And all of our internal borders are open except for one. Western Australia is still closed, I think. But there's nothing to stop Australian artists from putting on massive shows. It's just that there's restrictions on mass gatherings. And nobody wants to do those stupid car, those ones that have been doing in the US where people have been sitting in their cars and watching bands. That just seems like a thought bubble it should never have been, that one there. I think if we just wait, I watched the Lamb of God live performance that they did, and also the Suicide Silence one. I think both of those bands did a tremendous job with what they were doing there. They did it wasn't in a rehearsal room, it was on a proper stage, but it was a stage set, and they filmed it, and they had a bunch of these cameras going around, and it was far better than some bullshit YouTube video that a lot of, you see a lot of smaller bands sort of doing it. It didn't have that feel to it. It felt quality, actually, and I think they were asking fans to pay something the equivalent of like $4 or $5 US. So it wasn't a huge amount they were asking for, but that stuff has got a use by date on it. I just don't think people are going to want that for much longer. They're going to want to see bands like Majestica out there, man. So I just, I hope and I pray, man, that things go back to normal first and foremost, so that you guys can go back to doing what you do best, which is playing live, and also earning a living, and we as fans can get back out there and support you guys.
Yeah, I hope so as well. And as you say, I think the streaming thing is, I think it's going to continue even after we can go back to normal, but because it's a pretty cool way to reach new fans and stuff, reach countries you maybe not be able to go to. But I mean, everything is still, everyone wants to be live. So I hope both for us and for the fans that we get back to normal very soon, because it's also very boring not to be out playing, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, most of your year would be full of touring, or the prospect of touring at very least, right up to this point. So when you're used to being in airplanes and on airports and on coaches and buses and backstage areas, and you probably get acclimatized to that. That's your workplace. And all of a sudden you don't have that. So you're sort of thinking, well, what the fuck do I do with myself?
Yeah, well, you make a Christmas record. That's what you do.
I was going to say, you haven't been thinking that lately, that's for bloody sure, but maybe you haven't been thinking that at all. Maybe that's coming next year for you, unless they can tour. But yeah, but look, mate, congratulations on what you've done here. You know, I'm very impressed by it. And I'm so glad that you said that people are giving you great feedback, and there's a lot of hype around it, because I think you deserve it. I think the quality's there.
Yeah, well,
You know, so you just
yeah.
sometimes you get sick of all this pop and urban music and just this bullshit getting all of the attention, like that Cardi B song about vaginas that's aimed at like
Yeah.
8-year-old girls. It's just, man, it's sick. It's disgusting shit. And I'm no prude either. I love beautiful women. Don't get me wrong, man, but that's not real. That's not gonna.
Yeah,
That's not.
I
Yeah.
hate those. I hate that shit. I just don't. I don't get it at all. And I'm working at a school sometimes. I see all these kids go around sing those songs, and I'm like, you're just 8-year-old, and you're singing this song that is, I would not even say those words sometimes.
Yeah, they're psychos.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't get it at all. I don't get how society became a shit place like that, really.
Oh, I'm with you. Hey, look, when I was a kid, I distinctly remember it being in the newspaper, because I still love Deicide, but I loved Deicide in the 90s when I was growing up. And I distinctly remember there was a singer from a famous Australian band who I can't remember the name of now, but like they're an old doo-woppy 50s and 60s style band, boring. It sounds like church music or what have you. But he was talking about how he banned kids from bringing Deicide and Cannibal Corpse records into his school. And I remember thinking to myself,
Yeah.
even at the time, like how Germany's a big case. They've banned Cannibal Corpse or out records. I think not from performing. They've certainly banned them from performing some songs. I remember that. But isn't it interesting that songs like that, bands like that, which are effectively the equivalent of musical horror, like you got a horror movie. This is like horror music, meaning it's not real. It's just for entertainment. But this other shit, this urban stuff that talks about all these grossly and overly like lyrics that, like, I read and I'm like, who thinks up of this shit? And that it's kids that are listening to this crap. I think, man, we fucking got our priorities wrong. I mean, Deicide and Cannibal Corpse haven't got a patch on these bands, these artists.
No, exactly. I think this whole conversation that has been going for so many years about music and metal and all that stuff is just stupid, because this new pop music is, rap music and all that shit. It's just, what they are singing is, horrible stuff. So, and people kind of like, well, that's okay, but singing about, I don't know, playing metal music is still, shit for some people. But we don't even sing about anything that is actually bad, or there's nothing bad at all about the music. But it's still, people think it's, horrible. But then you can sing all these shitty lyrics and stuff that you should never do in your whole life and all that stuff. And it's all fine to sing that when you're 5 years old these days. It's just, oh no, it's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah, rock and metal is all, like, the mainstream media just do not cover rock and metal. I think at the Grammys or one of those stupid award shows in the United States recently, and I think the best rock artists was it Machine Gun Kelly and Miley Cyrus. I just went, holy shit, when you got Majestica, and I mentioned Suicide Silence and Lamb of God, when you got bands like you guys around, like basically what Nuclear Blast are doing. I just love what Nuclear Blast are doing at the moment. Marcus and the team of just the bands that they're signing. Just incredible music. I don't think we've lived at a better time if you're a heavy metal fan. There's just so much killer stuff. And it's ignored by music. Yeah, but you guys get ignored by the mainstream media, and it's just dumb. It's like there's no reason for it.
No, exactly. I don't think we're getting a lot of attention in the mainstream media, but I know we do have some interviews. But are they knowledgeable?
Like do they know what they're talking about though, or is it very general?
No, they barely know anything. They're not even interested, but they have to maybe, at least try to see what we are doing.
Yeah, it must be. Do you sort of just go along with it, or is it a bit frustrating when you have those interviews?
It can be a bit frustrating, yeah, because it's like, we are a band that have released 2 albums. We have lots of views. We have all this stuff, and they kind of like look at you like you started playing music yesterday, and who are you? And It's like, well, I've played music my whole life and playing metal music my whole life, and it's not like I learned my first guitar yesterday, but that's how it sounds when you speak to them.
Yeah, I get that thing where I don't look like a metal guy. I look like a regular bloke, short hair, I wear glasses, all the rest of it. But occasionally people are surprised that I've got such an interest, and they see how involved I am, particularly in extreme metal, because I do the interviews, all these interviews, and I'm writing the book, and I often use it as an opportunity to explain to people that with heavy metal like you guys, I think it could be mainstream. I think you guys could absolutely cross over. So there's that.
Yeah,
but when it comes to extreme metal, let's talk about At the Gates for a moment. I liken it to how not every day you eat like chili, like hot food. You're right.
Yeah, I know. But sorry, but I actually have to go because I'm starting another.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. The conversation ended because Chris had to jet off to another interview. I'd taken up far more time than what I was allocated, as I tend to do. I do it in good faith though, because I just love having conversations with musicians. So my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series, and that interview subject was Chris David from the Swedish outfit Majestica. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for listening.